Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Welcome back to The Razor's Edge. I'm super excited today because I get to talk to Brittney from the awesome Unleash the Archers. So thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So, on the 10th of May, you guys dropped your brand new album, Phantoma. Is Phantoma? Phantoma? How am I pronouncing that?
Phantoma, yeah,
Phantoma,
Phantoma.
yeah, I thought so. I probably should have asked that before we started, but fuck it.
No worries.
We're all learning here. Cool. Congrats with it, by the way. It's a awesome, awesome album. I loved it. Um,
Thank you.
have you guys had time yet to gauge the reception from this thing from the fans?
I mean, a little bit, not really. I went back last night when I got into bed at like midnight, just to kind of read through some of the Instagram comments and stuff like that. And it seems like everyone's pretty excited about it. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Are there any songs on it which you've noticed that fans have really gravitated to?
I mean, it's funny because that was one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people were like, "Oh, my favorites are this, this, and this," and then someone else would name like three different other ones, and then someone else would name three other ones. So it's definitely that kind of record where different songs are, ringing for different people in different ways. So it's great.
Yeah, because my review of it is up on the Razor's Edge if people want to go read it. And I think about three times in that review I go, oh, this could be my favorite song, and then later it's like, oh no, this one actually.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot to digest on the album, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But in true Unleash the Archers fashion, it's got quite the lofty sci-fi fantasy narrative running all the
Mhm.
way through it. How do you come up with the concepts of these albums? I'm assuming you're a massive sci-fi fan.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it just kind of comes from everywhere. My love of popular culture in all its forms, movies, video games, comic books, wherever I can get it, I'll take it. So it usually starts with a character. Like the Immortal saga from Apex and Abyss. It started with the Immortal. I knew that I wanted to have this character who was all powerful and yet chained, enslaved in some way, so that his power could kind of be capped in a certain way. And and this one started with Phantoma, and I knew that I wanted to have an android, have it be about her kind of finding herself in this world as she, after she's gained sentience and is aware of everything around her. And it really just started with her and with this dystopian world that she lives in, where humanity has destroyed the planet through climate change and lives their entire lives on social media because they're trapped in these biomes and they can't go anywhere anymore because the air is no longer breathable. And yeah, it's Terminator, it's Blade Runner, it's Tokyo Ghost, and it's the Revelation Space series, Revelation Space series from Alistair Reynolds. It's from everywhere.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, I don't know why I completely missed that the protagonist is female. Am I an idiot, or did I
No,
just?
no, no. I try and write things in such a way that it's you can take it any way you like. So I try not to express that explicitly. But just to me, she's female because I'm female, of course. So and in the yearbook, I do use the she, her, hers pronouns for her in that one. So, but that's just a choice. It's how she chose to identify herself. So, but she can be anything to anyone.
Okay, yeah, cool, fair enough. So what made you approach the topic of AI for the concept for this album? Because if I understand it, you came up with the idea for this years before this hysteria that we're currently in surrounding the topic of AI.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't ever really about AI. It was about, an android, gaining sentience. It was about,
Sure.
um, it was like, I just wanted to have this data-like character, that's kind of our, is it programming or are they alive in there kind of a thing. And that was really where it all came from. It was exploring the the boundaries between the two. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I've just been inspired by movies like, David from Prometheus. What's going on there? That's AI, right? But he's not following programming, he's this insanely chaotic, I don't even know, chaotic neutral, I suppose, that is just trying to satisfy his own curiosity. So, there's very much human aspects to him. And I just kind of came from the same place. I just wanted it to be about, and the fact that, she starts as an AI program in a computer was just kind of, a part of the process that she goes through in her growth into kind of, this human form. And so, I wrote it, I can't even remember when I came up with the idea, but I pitched it to the boys in early 2021. It was like, this is the, kind of the one that I've been throwing around in my head for a while lately. And I think that this would probably lend itself the best to being expanded into 10 tracks. And they were like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, let's go with this one and this idea. So yeah, I mean, like none of this stuff even existed back then. So people thinking that it's about, like ChatGPT gaining sentience is like, no, absolutely no.
Yeah, because I was going to say that, because like the concept of like AI, intelligence, machines, whatever in sci-fi, it's always like rooted in sort of base level science, but science fiction allows it to eventually, it can become pretty much anything really. That's like the freedom of sci-fi. Now that AI has become a more tangible thing in our own world, do you think that takes away a little bit the imagination of science fiction, if that makes any sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because it is now in everything, and it's kind of like, oh, AI, yeah, whatever, yeah, go ahead, put me into the Instagram algorithm and suggest me some posts. That's just kind of like, that's not the fun stuff, that's not the cool stuff, that's not what we've been writing about in science fiction novels for, decades. It's but that's of course where it starts, right? That's you don't write about that stuff in novels because it's boring, and so it's obviously the technology is going to start with the boring stuff. Here, let me write your email to your boss today. Like no one's writing movies about that shit. So of course it's hard to separate the two now that it is such a huge part of daily life. So. Yeah, I mean, it's understandable that people are like, why would you write about AI? And it's like, no, not that kind of AI. I'm talking about the Terminator, like exactly. I'm talking about Skynet here, people. It's supposed to protect us and turns against us. So it's pretty funny. But I mean, what are you going to do about it? That's just it's how the future marches onward without us.
Yeah, for sure. I'm waiting for the day someone writes a sci-fi power metal album about some rogue Facebook comment AI that just goes completely rogue, because that's what people know AI to be these days. So
yeah,
it's coming.
Or
like sort of like the Gmail wars or something really stupid like that. I don't know where I'm going with this tangent. Whatever. Let's move swiftly on, because you're sick to death of talking about the whole AI thing of this album. So. I think it's very fair to say that with your last two sets of albums, Apex, Abyss, they both were extremely well received and really well loved by not just fans. I think you found a much bigger audience off the back of those albums. Did that add any pressure at all when you went into this one?
I mean, of course, you can't ignore it. But it's not. We try not to let that be what drives us at the end of the day. It's not. We're not here to try and recreate what we've done in the past. We're here to write music that is fun and to try new things and to experiment with other genres and to, I'm constantly on the lookout for new bands and just to discover new artists. And I don't like listening to the same 5 bands over and over again. So I'm not going to write the same album over and over again. And these new bands that I discover, they inspire me to write, new new songs and to add new things to our music. So there was never a point where we were going to go, okay, guys, got to write Abyss #2 here. How are we going to do it? It was just kind of like, okay, so what did we do in Abyss? How do we take that into the next record so that we don't, do a complete 180 and completely alienate people? But how do we do that and then try and, put some new spin on it and try new things and grow and build on it? So it's just kind of, let's not totally fly off into outer space and do something weird. Let's let our previous albums keep us grounded, but let's not also have them be, have them determine what we do next. So it's just kind of keeping, walking that fine line, really. We just want to write music that's fun and that we have a good time playing on stage, because we got to do it every night. So it better be, better write some songs that are fun and aren't going to kill you at the end of the night. So that's kind of really where our main focus usually is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many tracks off this new album I can't wait to see live, because there's a lot of songs I think could be live staples. A lot of bits where the audience can really get involved as well.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like The Collective has got that chanty bit in it that I think is going to kill live. But I also want to swing right back to the beginning. This is going to sound incredibly specific. However, I've been dying to interview a power metal band from Canada for years, because back in 2012, Sam Dunn did his Metal Evolution series, and on the episode about power metal, because he's Canadian, and he said that power metal to him just wasn't a thing. It was like another world. He just had no experience of it back then. Do you agree with that sentiment? Was that your experience back then, or even now?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, Canada is really great with the death metal, the technical death metal, that kind of thing. Has always been. And but I was influenced by 3 Inches of Blood, which was kind of like they weren't even really like power metal, but they were kind of dipping their toe into that a little bit. And so that was what I was listening to, and I was listening to Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Lost Horizon and Dragonland and Angra and just mostly power metal kind of at the time. And so it wasn't really a huge thing locally. I was everything that I was listening to was either from the States or from Europe or like Sweden specifically. And then even more so, women in metal doing power metal just didn't even exist. Absolutely not. So it was funny because because we started, pretty death metal as well ourselves. Braden, our original guitar player and principal songwriter, was a screamer, and we shared the vocal duties 50-50 pretty much. Because still to this day very influenced by melodic death metal, but that was kind of my favorite thing that was going on back in those days. But as we progressed, more and more into that kind of power metal-y vibe, through trad metal, heavy metal, power metal kind of thing, it was like we were the only ones doing it, but we were doing it because it was fun, and it was like, it's okay that no one listens to power metal. We're not, it's just fun. Like, let's just have fun. Let's write fast, soaring, dorky songs about dragons or whatever. It didn't really matter to us that Sam Dunn didn't know who we were and wasn't going to ever listen to us, or and that maybe we were going to be the only power metal band touring across Canada at the time. Sure, put us on the bill with a death metal band and whatever else. It's like, sure, yeah, fine. It's fine. We got some screams, we can fit. It was always just kind of about, writing music that we loved and making our songs, modeled after bands that we loved. So it was okay that we were unknown and probably would remain unknown forever and all time. And just the fact that it's like kind of becoming more popular now is like sheer luck. That's about it.
Fair enough, because it's on those first 3 albums especially, when you're listening to your stuff, it's almost like you can blink and, oh, we're in Melodeath now. It's like, we were power metal 2 seconds ago, now we're Melodeath. But I don't even think even now, following in your band's wake, I can't think of many bands that are doing like to that extreme power metal and Melodeath. Did you know you were doing something new when you did that?
I mean, the fact that we could never call ourselves a specific genre was maybe a bit of an indicator. I mean, at one point someone was like, so what kind of metal do you play? And I was like, blackened power, melodic folk, death core. They were just like, what? And I was like, never mind, heavy metal. So I mean, maybe a little bit, but it was never, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's not like we were like, all right, let's pioneer the power death scene. You know, it was just like, this is what we like to play. So let's smash them together and see what happens.
Yeah, I've never heard power death before. Let's get another subgenre on the pile of
Yeah, absolutely.
50,000 fucking heavy metal subgenres. I'm sure someone said it at some point, but
Yeah,
fuck if
for
I've ever
sure.
heard it. I often do wonder though if I think the line between melodic death metal and power metal, I think, is way closer than people think. It's a
For
lot of
sure.
a lot of tracks. You listen to like, I don't know, Curse of Feyenoord by Blind Guardian, swap out those vocals for gutturals, you've basically got mellow death.
Totally.
Was it quite easy to blend those two genres together? It didn't feel, I guess, like chalk and cheese or anything like that.
No, no, absolutely not. I mean, it's always kind of like, oh, this part needs screams, you know, and it's just like, sure, there's a breakdown in the middle of a like crazy absolute power metal song here that really needs some death vocals. Let's put them in there. You know, it was just like, it just felt like what fit. And and it's, yeah, because, you know, I've constantly been influenced by bands like Soilwork and Amorphous and, you know, that are all about that melodic, you know, Flesh God Apocalypse. It's like there's no singing in that, or well, there's the operatic vocals, but it's so melodic that it's like it's singing almost, you know. And Soilwork, where it's like, yep, scream, sing along chorus. It's just like it's the same thing. It's just kind of like they just go together. These soaring vocals with the scream, you know, backing vocals or doing the verses or things like that. It's just kind of so it's just never felt like it was a weird juxtaposition to us or anything.
Yeah, I did want to ask about your vocals because even among the pantheon of power metal vocalists, you routinely come up with a lot of people as like one of the most impressive vocalists in the scene right now. You're known for your stratospheric highs, basically. Tonight We Ride is the absolute classic example.
Yeah.
When you do that kind of thing in the studio where you fucking go for it, do the guys like sit up and go, what? It's like, do you ever get that reaction when you do that?
Well, Tonight We Ride was actually, I had it, we were just kind of jamming it out or whatever before hitting in the studio or getting into the studio. And Grant was actually like, you know that part, the second part of the verse there where you're kind of like going up and then you go down. He's like, why don't you just keep going up? He's like, I was like, you mean jump like do the octave? And he was just like, yeah, can you do that? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I think that would sound cool. So I was like, all right. And then that was what I did, you know, because it was just like, sure. So, because, you know, he's a huge power metal fan too, right? So that was, you know, it was just kind of like that's what would sound cool. So let's do it. So it was never, I don't know, it was never like this, hey guys, watch this kind of a thing, you know. But now I feel like there's often times where the boys are like, can you do the octave on that? And I'll be like, oh, yep, I can, you know, let's go for it. Yeah, so it's really just kind of a, what could this part use? You know, what would sound cool here? What would up the epicness or the vibe on this or whatever? Yeah.
Great. I was also just wondering because I don't know why, but in the last few years, these whole vocal coach reacts to metal singer videos have just flooded YouTube. Like they just sort of spring up overnight. Obviously, Tonight We Ride comes up a lot in those kind of videos, and I've always wanted to know when the vocal coach is going, oh yeah, this bit's really interesting because they've held this posture or they've attacked this register. Is it? Have you ever watched them and just gone, no, I just sing it?
No, I mean, a lot of times, if they know what they're talking about, yeah, they'll be like, whoa, that's hard. What she's doing right there is really hard. And I'll be like, yes, it is, you know, or if they're just kind of like, oh, wow, cool. That she put that in a weird place. You know, I'll be like, yes, I do have to put that in. Like, my jaw like goes to the side or whatever, you know. So a lot of times I'm in, complete agreement. But honestly, it's just kind of, yeah, you just do whatever you can, and often you think about kind of how to, so that you can do it every night after night after night. You think about that after the studio, where it's like, okay, I've written this part. Now, how do I do it in such a way that it's safe and sustainable?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I'm on a lot of like ridiculous metal forums on like Facebook, Instagram, and all that rubbish. I mentioned earlier
Nice.
that your name comes up a lot, where a lot of times people will go, "Oh, who's your favorite female metal vocalist?" And your name comes up a lot. As I'm sure, as amazing as that is to see that your voice is really resonating with people, do you sometimes wish the fact you were a woman just didn't come into it?
Yes, absolutely. Like when someone comes up to me and says, "You're my favorite vocalist," that's when I'm like, ah, thank you. You know, you're one of my favorite vocalists. It's just like, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Because why does it matter if male or female? It's never, I don't say Bruce Dickinson is one of my favorite male vocalists. I just say he's one of my favorite vocalists, you know? And I don't say, Anneke van Giersbergen is one of my favorite female, I don't split the two. It's just, I've got this sort of bucket of vocalists that I love to listen to, and they're all in there together. So yeah, it does, it's a little frustrating that it's kind of like, would you say male vocalist when you're talking to one of your favorite male vocalists, or would you just say vocalist? And then when you're talking to the female, do you know that you're saying female before? So yeah, it is a little, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, obviously, as a guy, I know I can't really completely be aware of it, but it feels like to me a lot of the times people have been trying to stop saying female-fronted metal at the very least. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
it's,
for sure.
we're getting better at it, I suppose, at
Yeah.
not putting people in
I mean,
boxes.
people have stopped saying female fronted is a genre, which
Mm,
is great,
yeah.
because when we first started out, oh yeah, it was like, I don't listen to female fronted metal. And that was like, that's not a thing,
Yeah.
you know, just because,
They
and
don't
it was
all
just
sound
kind
like
of,
Evanescence.
exactly. No, they were absolutely doing that. They were just, conflating symphonic metal or whatever, all women sing operatic vocals in metal. And it's just like, no, they don't. But anyways, yeah, that was definitely something that we fought against big time. But when you say I only listen to female fronted bands, that's definitely a thing I've heard.
Right.
And it's kind of like, why? You know?
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of incredible women out there, but you are missing out on a lot of incredible men as well. And what is it about the female vocalists? I mean, there are screamers that you can't even tell, you can't hear it's a girl back there.
Yeah.
What does it matter? You know what I mean? So what does it matter if it's a girl or a boy, especially in screaming, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, you're just kind of doing yourself a disservice if you ask me. But so I'm glad that the female fronted metal is no longer a genre. I mean, that when we got over that hurdle, I was just like, hooray.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Right, we're swiftly running out of time, but there's one question I desperately needed to get to because I've got a lot of people I know personally who really, really wanted to ask you this.
Okay.
So the summer festival season is fast approaching, and again, I apologize. This is very specific, but are you aware how excited so many of us in the UK are that you guys are finally coming to Bloodstock Festival? Because you guys have been on the cards to play it for years now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I know. Well, we all know what happened in 2020. That was
Yeah, of
annoying.
course. Yeah.
And then 2021, it was like you could play it, but you wouldn't be able to go to like all the like several other countries afterwards or whatever. And there was just, yeah, there was an issue with that. And then and then 2022, I was pregnant, so couldn't go. And then 23, it was like we're in a studio. So yeah, it's been frustrating. Like the fact we're finally getting back there, we're very excited about it. We're just as excited as you guys are. But yeah, no, we can't wait to play. And we really do wish that we could play more shows there. But unfortunately, the schedule is just not allowing for it this summer. But we are going to come, and do a European headliner next spring. So
Brilliant.
maybe we might be able to get a few more cities into that, hopefully. But again, time constraints. We have a kid, so I can't be on the road for months on end anymore. Unfortunately, I would love to just tour for the rest of my life, but it's just not possible. So, I mean, I knew people were excited, but hopefully, hopefully we can pack the crowd. That's
Oh, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
Bloodstock used to sort of be a power metal festival back in the day. It's slowly phased out power metal, but when it does come up, it gets a huge reaction. And as I say,
Oh,
people
awesome.
people have been waiting for you guys specifically for a long time because it feels like we've always been so close. But now it's
Yes.
finally,
Big cheese.
touch wood happening this year. It's going to be amazing. And just final question, because I know you have to shoot off, but have you started swimming ideas around in your head for a new concept for a new album yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's already written. It's in the hands of the guitar players now. Just waiting for some riffs. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
It's yeah.
great.
I am the worst. I can't help it. I gotta, we started working on it before this album was even out. The
Oh,
second it was like,
fantastic.
the second we had the masters in our hand, I was like, okay, cool, next.
Oh, amazing. Right. That tantalizing hook, can't think of a better way to end with that. So, just to reiterate for people watching, Unleash the Archer's new album, Phantoma, is out now. So go check it out ahead of the festival season. Thank you so much, Brittany, for joining me. Thank you all for watching. Go listen to some amazing heavy metal, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with all of our interviews by subscribing to our channel. For all the latest news, reviews, interviews, and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.